Hello and welcome back to the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. My name is Aaron Thomas and we're coming to you now for race 24 of the season, but before then, a quick walk down the pit lane.
Race 24 here in India, about to start. What a weekend. Now the champion is going to be nominated in another half an hour. Let's see the action. Back to race control.
Thank you very much, Peter. Now back up to race control to watch the start of the race. We're coming to you for race 24, as I just said, so let's have a quick run down the race 24 starting grid. In first position, we've got Luke Allen. Just behind him, Shihab Al-Habsi and Elias Sapanin. These positions made out by virtue of the second fastest times from qualifying. Muiz Mushafir and Yash Adia round out the top five, while Al Young, Snehan Sharma and Mira Erda complete the grid. As you can see, everybody is taking their positions. Green flag marshal has just run across the back of the track. Red lights are about to come on, and as they extinguish, we will be underway. Red lights are all on in 3, 2, 1, we'll go! Here we are! Everyone across the line. Looks like Shihab Al-Habsi on the right-hand side, pushing Elias Sapanin out, all the way that he can down into the first corner. He's going to take Elias Sapanin up the inside of turn 1. Beautiful driving there from the Omani. Coming through the first sector, down into the second corner. Everybody seems to have gotten away fine, and we have some fantastic racing already with Shihab Al-Habsi managed to maintain his second position ahead of Elias Sapanin. Coming down into the third sector, Luke Allen already capitalizing on the fight between the two red cars just behind him as we come up through the kink with Elias Sapanin all over the back of the red number 34 car that belongs to Shihab Al-Habsi, the Mani driver. And the two of them ahead of Yash Adia in the orange number 17 car, just ahead of Alice Young's pink number 22 race machine. As we come through turn 4 now, side by side with Elias Sapanin and Shihab Al-Habsi. Elias up the inside, around the outside of turn 4, and then up the inside at turn 5, says thank you very much, takes second position and starts looking for Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car at the front of the pack. The position now leading us through turn 7. Luca already a little bit of a lead. Of course, the fight between Elias and Shihab Al-Habsi for second position, complementing his excellent start to really give him a good beginning to this race. As we come down into turn 8 now, Elias definitely seems to have the pace, and a little bit squirrely there from Shihab Al-Habsi on the middle of the corner 8. That's going to advantage Yash Adia in the orange number 17 car just behind him, and of course Alice Young and Muiz Mushafir, the two Malaysian drivers on the grid this weekend, are fighting each other for position as well. As we come down into the final sector of the lap, turn 10 here now, the right-handed turn 11. Nobody close enough to make anything happen as you go up over the ridge down the other side into turn 12, where we are yet to see an overtake, but it's something I desperately want to see. Perhaps this race, because it's the last chance for these Formula 4 cars to do that until next year, as we come across the start-finish straight with Luke Allen leading us now from pole position on the first lap. Elias Sapanin in second, Shihab Al-Habsi, Yash Adia, Alice Young and Muiz Mushafir making us the top 5 in race 24 as we continue down into corner 1. Nobody close enough to make a move still, but you can see that's definitely going to change very soon. All these drivers pushing each other to the absolute limit. Let's have a refresh of the timing screens now and see exactly what happened in that first lap of the race with Luke Allen still back at the front of the grid. You can see all the cars filing through the kink now. That's a very interesting section of corners. You would expect that it's flat in these cars. I'm not quite sure about that myself. I suppose it depends on how you exit turn 3, as we can see everybody a little bit slidey coming through turn 5 there. Especially Shihab Al-Habsi. He may have got a little bit of a problem with his tyres because he seems to be very squirrely coming out of turn 8. But he's definitely recovered. He's definitely recovering, and he's going to, of course, try and catch up to the man from Elias Sapanin. And bad news for him this weekend because he was up in second position, and he's lost it obviously to the Finnish driver. It seems to be dropping back already. The Finn, the fastest man on the track the last time around, doing a 1:42.072. That's 3/10 faster than the leader of the race, and he's it's himself. Luca, and looks like Yash Adia, the only man in the 142s on that the opening lap of this race 24 of the season so far, the final race here this weekend for event 6 at the MERITUS Motor Race Track, plus fueled by Petron as always. As we can see there, the battle between the Malaysian drivers for P5 and P6. If I'm not mistaken, that's Alice Young in the pink number 22 fighting with Muiz Mushafir in the orange number 13 for position 5. As we come across the start-finish line, I'm going to refresh the screens now. In just a moment, we'll know what the gap is between Elias and Luca. Last time around, it was 7/10 of a second, but if Elias keeps going at the pace he currently has, he's going to close that very soon. And he needs to be within about, I imagine it's got to be 2 or 3 tenths behind. I imagine you have to be within 2 or 3 tenths of the car in front of you to make a move here at this track, because it is, as we know, extremely demanding. And Elias is a little bit too far back at the moment to make anything happen. But let's have a look further down the grid. Muiz Mushafir and Alistair Young fighting each other here for position. This is P5, the battle for P5 between the two Malaysians. coming down into the second sector now. Is anybody close enough to make a move? No, Muiz decides against it. He's had a little bit of bad luck here at the Madras Motor Racetrack this year, and he's not going to risk anything further. Let's have a look back at the timing screens, though. We see Luke Allen did a 1:38.388, and Elias Bennett did a 1:38.373. So the difference between the two leading drivers is 100th of a second in that the second lap of the race. So, well, really not much to say, because they're matching each other stride for stride, and Luca responding to Elias's charge for first position as we continue to watch the battle now for P5 with Alistair Young and Muiz Mustafa. Coming down into turn 9 now, looks like Alistair is still keeping the orange car behind him. That's Muiz Mustafa still down in P6, but Muiz looks close enough to start to make a move, perhaps into turn 11. We've seen that happen with Alistair Young in the last race, actually, and look how close these two cars are. Barely anything between the two drivers as we come down into the third lap now, with Luke Allen, of course, still in front of the grid. Going to refresh the screens as they come across the start-finish line. We should have the timing update for you by corner 2 or 3, as Luke Allen is obviously pushing as high as he can, but Elias Pan, really the man of the race so far, definitely charging as fast as he can to try to catch up to the Irishman at the front of the grid. Let's have a quick refresh of the timing screens and try and see what happened there. They're still haven't updated from the last lap. Not to worry though, they will very soon as we continue through the kink now with Luke Allen obviously in a defending position from Elias Pan, and that's going to compromise his lap time. And this is all good news for Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34, who's number 3 at the moment, just off screen. The red car just behind Elias Pan. He's going to use this battle to catch back up to the leaders and hopefully leapfrog his way into first position. But let's not count out Yash Adia. Yash had a fantastic weekend here, fighting on his home track, the Madras Motor Racetrack, of course, for India. Good third event for him, but unfortunately this weekend he's had a little bit of bad luck. Hopefully, though, the commentator's curse might have worn off by now, and he'll be up on the podium in this race, and he very well may be if he can continue laying down consistent lap times and just let the guys at the front of the grid do the work for him. Let this battle between Elias Pan and give him the time he needs to catch up, and perhaps try and move on Shihab Al-Habsi. Of course, Alistair and Muiz Mustafa still fighting for P5 slightly down the order. But that's exactly what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. With the timing screens updated, I can tell you now that Shihab Al-Habsi did a 1:38.129, fastest man on the track at the moment, fastest lap as well, about 300ths of a second between himself and Elias Panin. Not much in that, ladies and gentlemen. But you can see the battle between Luke and Elias already having unexpected effects, or expected effects, I should say, because Luca was 2/10 slower than the Finnish driver last time around, so the gap is closing. As at the beginning of the last lap it was 6/10, it's now 4/10 of a second. With 13 minutes, 19 seconds left on the board. That's plenty of time for the Finnish driver to try and find a way past Luke Allen, but not to worry, ladies and gentlemen, race fans watching us from Ireland. I'm sure Luca knows exactly what he's doing. He's probably got a strategy devised to psych out the man behind him, but that may not work out for him, because the Finnish driver, we know, is cool as a cucumber, not going to let anything bother him. Going to sit exactly where he needs to do. He's going to sit exactly where he needs to be and wait for a chance to pounce. That's exactly what happened in race 22 with himself and Alistair Young on the exit of turn 7, and I'm sure that's his plan. Just be patient, wait for an opportunity, and take it when you see it. And that's exactly the kind of racing we like to watch here in the Madras Motor Racetrack with Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, of course, coming in again in the 2019 season, fueled by Petron as always, as we come through into the third sector of the lap. Just exiting 7B now, then we've got turn 8, then turn 9, then into the third sector, and you can see really the gap between Luca Allen and Shihab Elias Pan in the second position is deteriorating quite quickly. But interestingly to note, Shihab Al-Habsi a little bit slow in the last lap. Maybe he went off a little bit somewhere. He's down in the 139s again, so that's not where he needs to be. If he wants to catch up to the men at the front and the back, he's really got to pick up the pace and try and find a way to close this gap. At the moment, there's over a second between himself and the man in front from Elias Pan and the other red car on the track, number 58, Finnish driver, one of the leading men in the championship. In fact, himself and Luke Allen fighting for the event championship this weekend alongside Shihab Al-Habsi. If Shihab can get back into the top spot, that might be very good news for Oman in the event championship. But we've still got another 12 minutes of racing left to go, folks. It's about 6 or 7 laps. So anything could happen. This is still anybody's race, as Luca now brings us into turn 3 with 4 laps on the boards now. We can expect that the drivers are going to have to start thinking about where to make a move, when to make a move, when to push. Of course, these cars are delicate beasts. You're going to want to push one lap and then just let everything breathe the next lap. You can see here the battle though for the leading lady category. We've got Sneha Sharma in front of MERITUS. That's the purple number 9 car in front of the yellow number 36 car. These two ladies fighting fiercely for their trophy as we come round back to the front of the grid. Luke Allen, the blue number 3 car, still at the front, leading us through turn 7B now, ahead of the red number 58 of Elias Pan. I'm interested to see what kind of time Shihab Al-Habsi is doing now, if he can pick up the pace and try to catch up to the leaders. He has done so. He did a 1:38.683 last time across the start-finish line. That's definitely faster than his previous lap, but still not enough to catch the men at the front of the pack. He's still 3/10 off of the leaders. And Elias Pan is just going faster and faster, setting the fastest first sector of the race so far, 2/10 faster than Luke Allen's personal best. So the gap between those two drivers is really diminishing. The gap at the start of the last lap was 0.5 of a second. It's already down to 0.3 of a second in the first sector alone. Unless Luke Allen can answer the finish driver in the second and third sectors, we're going to see something happen very soon, because they're under 0.5 of a, they're separated by under 0.5 of a second, and that's where you need to be to make a move. You can see how close they are. Elias really using the ultimate slipstream there, down the main straight, in through turn 1. Can he get him under braking into turn 2? Is he going to look up the inside? No, decides against it, perhaps holding off for turn 3 or maybe even turn 4. Or dare I say it's turn 11 and turn 12, which is exactly the kind of thing I've been waiting for all weekend, and hopefully the Finnish driver can deliver for us in this final race here at the Madras Motor Racetrack for event 6 in the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship. But just look how close Elias is up the back of Luke Allen. He's going to go left, he's going to go right now, and he's going to go around the outside. That's going to set him up for an inside line through turn 5. Can he make it happen? Oh, there's contact. There's major contact there between Elias and Luke Allen. Elias comes back onto the track and swipes the rear end of Luke Allen. When he rejoins the race, there's definitely damage to both of those cars, and it could spell disaster for the two top drivers, and that could make the event championship very interesting. Quick replay now. You can see Elias sets himself up nicely. There seems to be racing room, but both drivers just collide in the middle of the exit of the corner, and when Elias comes back onto track, he seems to lose at least part of his front wing. Let's have a look at the front wing of the red number 58 car. Looks like the rear left end plate is gone, and the wing is definitely dented on the left-hand side, perhaps dragging along the track, and you can see that that's definitely made a difference to Shihab Al-Habsi's day, because he's closing the gap between himself and the men at the front of the pack. Elias Lepanen, though, holding on in second position, coming around turn 10 now. He's not going to let this phase him. He can keep racing. He can keep the he can keep the Yemeni driver behind him. Shihab Al-Habsi, though, not going to follow the same line of thought, because he's going to be pushing the Finnish driver as hard as he can to get up into second position, and that could make things very interesting indeed for the event championship. But Luke Allen back at the front of the grid now. This is an advantage for him. He had been under significant pressure for the last 6 laps from the Finnish driver, but now he's got a little bit of a breather, and you can see the gap between himself and second position Elias Lepanen is already widening just down into the first sector of this, the 7th lap now of the race, and you can see Shihab Al-Habsi really closing up to the red car in front of him. That's the 2 red cars behind the blue car, the number 3 car at the front of the pack. That's Luke Allen, the red car, number 58 on screens now. That's Elias Lepanen, and just behind him another red car, number 34. That's Shihab Al-Habsi, the Omani driver. Let's have a look at the lap times as they cross the line. Luca did a 1:39.917, Elias a 1:43.15, and Shihab Al-Habsi a 1:38.785. So Shihab almost a full 2 seconds faster than the man in front of him. So you can see the gap definitely closing between the 2 drivers as they continue to race here for race 24 of the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petra. And of course, we're going to keep going racing until the end of the day, because we've got another 8 minutes left to go on the boards. That translates to about 4 or 5 laps, folks. So don't go anywhere, because there's a lot of action still to come, and there could still be something happening here for first, second, and third positions. And of course, we know there's a fierce battle going on between Moise Machaffer and Alistair Young for 5th position. Moise is currently in the 5th position, holding on to his lead, about 2 seconds behind the man in front of him, Yash Adia. So Yash at the moment going into P4, making a good result for India. Perhaps he can capitalize, though, on this disaster for Elias Lepanen at the front of the grid. But we're following the leaders again now, coming through turn 12 with, there you go, you can really see the damage there to Elias's front wing. There may be even more damage, and I'm sure there's got to be some damage to the back of Luca's car. I'm not sure where Elias clipped the Irish driver when he came back onto the track, but it may result in a puncture or some other long-term damage that's not yet evident on the blue number 3 car at the front of the pack. I hope I haven't given him the commentator's curse, but there's not much you can do about that. You just need to stay calm, focused, and focus on your job. And right now, Luke Allen is doing exactly that, setting a good lap time. And you can see, though, Shihab Al-Habsi all over the back of Elias Lepanen already. You can see the gap just closing slowly but surely. Shihab is going to come up behind Elias Panin, and on this track with significant loss of downforce. That is the result of that damage to the front left wing there on Elias Panin's car. It's really making a big difference. Let's have a look at the timing boards though. Last time around, Luke Allen 138.719, Elias Panin 139 dead, and Shihab Al-Habsi 138.864. So Shihab just a little bit slower than Luke Allen, but definitely faster than the man in front of him, Elias Panin, and that's why the gap is closing so significantly. At the beginning of the lap, it was 0.4 of a second between second and third, and it's going to be less than that now. Shihab maybe planning his maneuver now. I'm sure he's thinking in his head, where can I take the Finnish driver? Where is he going to make a mistake? Maybe down into turn 10 under hard braking. That would be a fantastic thing to see, but I'm sure it's almost impossible. As we come around now through turn 11, you can see the red car of number 34, Shihab Al-Habsi, just too far behind the red car of number 58, Elias Panin. As they come through turn 12, you can see though the gap is shrinking, and there may just be something happening at turn 2. So let's have a quick look down now into camera 1. There we go. Blue number 3 car at the front of your grid. Here's the two red cars. Shihab Al-Habsi still in third position, trying to find the way past the Finnish driver. Elias Panin doing fantastically to hold on with the damage to his car, while Shihab is all over the back of him, trying to find a way past, but just not quite close enough to make it happen. Of course, we know one thing about Elias Panin is that he's cool under pressure and he's not going to make a mistake. He just needs to focus on his job, just like Luke at the front of the grid, and that's exactly what he's doing. Luke Allen, though, building a nice lead for himself. It was 1 second gap to second position at the end of the previous lap, and I'm sure it's even more now as they come into the second sector of this, the 9th lap of the race. Let's have a look at the timing screens. We've got Luke Allen doing a 1:38.6, Elias a 1:39.2, and Shihab, interestingly, a 1:39.310. So Shihab losing a little bit of time there in the last lap, I should say. As we come around turn 7B now, I wonder what's going on in the Omani's mind. Maybe he's deciding to hold off and push a little bit later in the race after Elias's tires are a little bit more worn out, or maybe he went a little bit squirrely coming out one of the corners. We did see that at the beginning of the race, in fact, in this very corner, I should say the corner before this, turn 8. Elias very squirrely coming through turn 8 in the opening sectors of the race, and that may indicate some kind of wear in his tires or something of that effect, and that might be coming back to haunt him now in the closing sectors of the final race this weekend at the Madras Motor Racetrack. 10 laps now when they cross the start-finish line this time, and another 4 minutes left on the board, so that gives us another maybe 2 laps. So they got the last lap board out yet? No, they do not, so we're going to have at least 2 more laps. As we come around, though, you can really see the damage is very significant there to Elias Panin's front wing. As they come through turn 1, Shihab Al-Habsi still just a little bit too far back to make anything happen. And that's exactly what the Finnish driver is known for, not bulking under pressure, maintaining his composure and keeping the man behind him where he needs him to be behind him. As we can look back to the front of the grid now with Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car leading us through the kink, ahead of the 2 red cars who are battling for second and third position. This could well decide the event championship. If Shihab can get up into second position, he could dethrone Luke Allen and become the event 6 champion. That would be exactly the kind of thing he needs to make his weekend. Coming through turn 5 now though, they're still just not quite close enough to make anything happen. I'm having a look outside of my window. I can't see the last lap board yet, so we may be going 1 more lap, but we'll get an update on that very soon. With 3 minutes left on the board, though, it's entirely possible we're going to have another 2 laps as Elias Panin side by side now with Shihab Al-Habsi. Shihab around the outside at turn 7B and says thank you very much. And Elias Panin going to try and make a move back around the outside now at turn 8. It looks like Shihab made a small mistake and Elias is trying to capitalize on it. He's now got the outside line coming through turn 9. Can he dive back up the inside? No, he can't quite make it, but he's still so close to the man in front of him. If he can hold on for just a moment, maybe down through turn 11. If the Finnish driver can find a way, there's anybody that can do it. It's definitely Elias Panin, the red number 58 car, now in third position, but hopefully trying to find his way back up into the second spot where he was previously, where he was holding on so well with, despite the fact that he had only half a front wing. Coming through turn 12 now, though, it looks like Shihab has secured that second spot and is now going to have to try and start charging down the man at the front of the grid, but with only 2 minutes left on the timing screens and 1 minute or 1 second between himself and first, it's not entirely possible. Maybe he needs to focus his attentions on the red number 58 car behind him. Let's have a look at the lap times. We got a 1:38.840, a 1:38.709, and a 1:38.677. That's how close these drivers are to each other. But of course, you can see the gap between Shihab Al-Habsi and Elias Panin already widening. Elias perhaps deciding that with the damage, it may be the prudent course of action to secure third position rather than risk it all with a damaged car, which may not be able to deliver. As we come through turn 5 now, though, the man of the race has to be Luke Allen, who has led from the first lap from pole, put himself there by virtue of his second fastest lap in qualifying, and just remain calm to focus on his job and stay consecutive for the fastest lap times to build a 2.5 second lead from himself to second position. Shihab Al-Habsi, though, must be torture running around in second position knowing that you've got the pace. You can see the leader ahead of you, but you're just too far away to make anything happen. And I'm sure Elias Panin fuming with himself. He did drive perfectly. You can't blame him for keeping the... Well, you really can't say anything bad about him. He managed to keep Shihab Al-Habsi behind him despite significant damage to his front wing. It's a very impressive drive for the Finn, but just not quite enough to keep the Omani behind him as they come across the line now for the 12th lap, the last lap, as you can see on screen. Coming through turn 1 now, Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34 on your monitors, down into turn 2, nobody close enough to make a move as Luke Allen leads us through turn 3, up the kink. One last lap for the Irishman. All he needs to do is hold it together now for another 9 corners, and he has won the 24th race in the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by petrol. Of course, I don't want to give him the commentator's curse, but at this point, it's really a formality for the Irishman to take the checkered flag ahead of what would be Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34 car and Elias Panin in the red number 58. So let's have a quick look down the leaders board. In 4th position, we have Yashar Adia, and in 5th position, Moise Mushafa. We saw a fantastic battle at the beginning of the race between Moise and his compatriot Alistair Young. Looks like Moise came out on top in the end. I can see Sneha and Mira crossing the start-finish line outside the window just now, still battling away for the leading lady category. It looked like Sneha was still up in first position for that category, and good job to her to keep the yellow number 36 of Mira Oda behind her for a full 13 or a full 12 laps so far, hopefully a 13th lap. As we see now, Luke Allen brings us up over the bridge, down the other side through turn 12. And I'm sure he's already going to start celebrating as he comes around the corner and takes the checkered flag for the race win in the 24th race of the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petra, and a very happy Irishman there.
Really nice race for me. Started pole and then got a nice little gap at the start, and then tried to be as consistent as I could. Obviously Elias is very fast, but managed to get the win in the end, so I was really happy with that.
The race was pretty alright until, well, I think everyone saw, but yeah, I was really fast.
Yeah, it was a good race. I started 7th, was able to maintain my position, also got the leading lady. Trophy was a tough fight. We were fighting till the checkered flag, and that's what really makes a driver good, to get that kind of experience, and I'm grateful for Formula 4 Southeast Asia for the same. I would like to thank all my supporters, Formula 4 Southeast Asia, Indigo, and all my fans back home. Thank you.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, really we've reached the end of the race and indeed the end of the weekend. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time in Malaysia.